Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence, which is a place for like-minded and open-minded individuals seeking to better themselves spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. I am so excited for this reading because I have a new oracle deck and I've already pulled the first card, and I know that this is going to be our starting point for this reading, so let's get right into it. This is number 17, and the card is consciousness, and this is something that is speaking, or it's speaking so clearly to me, I was going to say, or it's speaking so meaningfully. Like, the message is so big, like I know that this is important. So if you're listening, I really do feel like you were brought here. You know, this message is timeless, and I think that you were brought here because your angels are trying to send you this message as well. So I really believe if you're here, and then, you know, there's something here for you. So I hope that this message resonates. But what it says is the frequency of consciousness supports our ability to focus our attention on all the multidimensional aspects that show up, so that we can include them in our reality. And the reason that this is such a big message for me is because I have been really thinking a lot about what it means to shift timelines. You know, I've made a handful of videos at this point of these readings I've been doing about shifting a timeline and how I'm getting so strongly this collective, you know, energy update of us shifting timelines, and how this is something that a lot of us are going through right now. And when we do this, when we raise our frequencies, we raise the frequencies of the earth, right? Like, we are contributing to the evolution of the earth just by existing and having our own soul's evolution take place in this lifetime. And so this concept of switching timelines is just so precious, and so it's such a gift. And so we've got, what I really want to pull attention to is the part of this card that speaks on attention, right? Like, we can focus our attention on all of these dimensional aspects. Like, really, our attention is what dictates our reality, is kind of what I'm getting at here. And this is kind of this is very quantum kind of talk. But, you know, I've spoken recently about how you're really coming into your power and your alignment, and you're really starting to understand, like, what authenticity means and what it means to be in alignment. And for a lot of us, this is for a lot of us, your creative flow is a catalyst for this process. I'm already right at the bottom of the deck. I see the tower of my tarot deck. So, like, this kind of alchemy that you have done, like, you may have come from a place of strife and difficulty and just maybe really unhealthy, toxic scenarios, and I think that we should be honoring that. Like, I really think I feel our angels are asking us to honor that, because, you know, this shift from the before and after, like, would only be made possible if you had kind of the duality of, like, before your growth and after your growth, you know, like, when it was unhealthy to now when it's healthy. Like, there's that. It's like, you know, I'm seeing like a trophy that's like the most improved. Like, it's like that award you would get, like, on whatever team you were on, whatever sport you were doing maybe. I'm feeling like that is so, like, representative of what we're going through, of, like, you know, you have improved so much, like, and there's no, like, when somebody receives a trophy like that, there's never any shame in, like, oh, at one point you weren't that good, or, you know, like, that's never implied. Like, when somebody receives that trophy, it really truly is, you know, honoring how much they've grown. And I think that that's, like, such an amazing, trophy, to be honest. Like, it's not just first place, second place, third place. It's like, look at your growth. I really think that that's like one of the most valuable, achievements that we can make in any habit. But the beauty of the creative flow process is that you are able to kind of take these whirling energies and create something physical out of them, right? And so as we alchemize our thoughts, the past limiting thoughts to the healthier, expanding thoughts, we are kind of in a way in this creative flow state, and this could be taking place over years, right? It could be an on and off kind of ebbing and flowing roller coaster of a process, but that's what I love about the creative flow state, is that you are creating something magical, that didn't exist before, that existed in a different form, like an idea to a painting, or a thought to a business, right? And so that's the beauty of the tower, especially as it relates to the creative process. And we're also getting the Emperor. So I'm feeling like and we're also getting the Perception Oracle card. So I feel like this is actually really in line with our attention. I'm going to get to the Emperor in a second. But the Perception card, I feel like, is very fitting for this concept of where we're focusing our attention on. And I want to come back to the tarot because I want to channel a little bit more into whether this is us or like an external, but I'm feeling like this is very much an internal as I tap into this more. I feel like this is an internal embodiment. So the Emperor kind of resenting. I don't know why that slipped out, but I want to get into that in a second. The Emperor representing your inner divine masculine, right? And I'm feeling with the Tower, and the fact that I slipped out saying resenting is that you kind of had this inner divine masculine that may have had a lot of built up resentment. You may have felt bitter about things, or not being able to accept the ways of the world, or like kind of in those stagnant negative energies, right? But what I'm getting here is like through your ability to change your perception on things, to really move out of your comfort zone, out of the familiar limiting thought beliefs into, new realms of what feels good, and, new realms of being able to see past these limiting paradigms that society puts on us, right? And instead be able to see the world for like the parts of it that are real and good, and that you can be empowered by, right? So for example, like you may have had criticisms about ways that the world works, like the school system or this and that. And through your perception, you were able to kind of shift that negative, resentful thought process into saying, you know what, the school system, it served me well, or maybe not even that. Maybe it just served me in the best way that it could. It was where I was at that time in my life. It was a decision I made, and it allowed me to get this, and I'm grateful for it because it granted me these opportunities. And now if I'm not aligned with it, or if I disagree with it, or if I have my judgments about it, that's okay. I want to honor that, but I want to, move on and put my energy into other things rather than holding on to this resentment of, a past experience, or, whatever. Maybe you had dropped out of college, and so you kind of felt this resentment towards the system or towards the circumstances that caused you to drop out, or resentment towards yourself, or like ways that we judge and shame ourselves. And through the power of perception and your consciousness, like you are kind of coming out of that and you're really stepping into a healthy emperor, that healthy divine masculine, that not the wounded one that is living in this kind of tower moment and resentment, right? And with this healthy emperor energy comes, that the ability to lead yourself. And it's those boundaries, it's that discipline that the masculine energy brings of, what's going to get you towards structure and stability. Like that's what's coming through here. So, as it relates back to consciousness and perception and, being able to look at and see things for what they are, not through this not through this egoic filter of how we see things, right? So you're looking at the school system, and instead of looking at it from that egoic perspective of, oh, the school system's so bad and this and that, and, it doesn't even mean anything, like all these kind of like negative, judgmental, resentful projections of like some other internal insecurity, right? Or just a genuine judgment based on what we believe to be our core values, right? Like when we're able to shift out of that egoic perspective and see things for how they were, and see how there are really limitless ways to perceive something, right? Like you may have those beliefs, you may have those values, and that can be true, and that doesn't have to change, but you can also see something for what it truly is, right? The school system has helped many. The school system, for some, like they dream of getting into a school, right? Like they're committed to it, like they thrive in that setting, like, it's given jobs, it's given opportunities to people, right? So when you see that for what it is, then those kind of egoic judgments kind of melt away, because you recognize that while you may have had a difficult experience or you disagree with certain aspects of it, you're able to see it from a more zoomed out perspective. And that is very, I was going to say magical, because truly it is magical to be able to shift your perception like that, because that's when you start to really magnetize yourself towards, those feelings that you want to feel. You're not going through life feeling resentment about, oh, the world is like this and that, and that's not going to get you to shift into that new timeline, right? But having that compassion, that open mind, and that attempt to always understand things the best you can, that's the thing that's going to make you magnetic. And, you don't have to agree with everything. Like, you can disagree. You can, there can exist things in the world that make you upset, or, right, that you struggle to agree with. Like, that's a normal part of the human experience as well. But just being mindful of it, and, just recognizing that there's more to things than your limited perspective, right? Like, there really is like infinite ways that something can be experienced and perceived. Okay, so I want to channel more into this creative flow state, because we just got this action card, which says, stop hesitating. Movement creates the magic. Nothing can hold you back. So if you feel like you're maybe stuck between two timelines, or maybe you've done a lot of work and you thought you were in a timeline, but maybe you still got one foot in the old timeline, this creative flow is really going to give you that boost of energy, that gust of wind to really push you into this newer timeline, full body, permanently. And the action card is telling you to continue doing things that are going to practice your creative skills. If you're writing something, make sure you're writing every day, like make it a habit, make it something that is going to give you that momentum to create magic. So let's see if we have any other tarot cards that want to come out here. Yeah, we've got the Two of Swords and the Seven of Cups. So I feel like with the Two of Swords, it's kind of like asking us to look at ways that our wounded selves viewed the world, right? Like, how can we honor that? Because with the Two of Swords, she's holding the two swords, she's protecting her heart, she's blindfolded, right? So she's not seeing things. This is like very much in line with the perception card. She's not seeing things for what they are, right? She's just holding the swords up, protecting her heart. She's not very trusting, right? Because of, it's because of some past trauma, right? Like, that's what blocks us. Something happens to us, and then we kind of learn this coping mechanism which results in us, my cat, we learn these coping mechanisms from trauma that then result in us closing ourselves off to the truth, or closing off our heart, or avoiding situations because we have fear around it, right? And that's what kind of puts us in this in-between phase, that it feels stuck, or it feels like we don't know what to decide or what direction to go towards. And same with the Seven of Cups. We've got like a lot of options, that, a lot of ways to be, like I said, like there are infinite ways to perceive something, right? Like, and the Seven of Cups is really that like kind of fantasy and even like illusion aspect of the way we kind of daydream and think about things, like. And so if you have multiple choices or multiple decisions that you can make, it can feel very stagnant, right? Like it can feel like hard to pin down and get grounded. And so I think that this is also relating back to this card of action, of like telling us to move forward, to take the steps, in your soul, in your heart. And if you're feeling really like mentally cluttered or out of balance, then Spirit is asking you to take that time to clear out your mind, you may even need to be doing like physical decluttering. You may need to be like prioritizing meditation and prayer to like clear your mind. You may need to be doing like somatic healing, or just like give yourself a good cry to kind of like cleanse out some emotions. But by clearing yourself, you're going to open up, you're going to remove the veil, right, between you and your higher guidance. And that's what's going to get you to open up your heart, to make decisions, to identify with, okay, this is the new timeline I'm in. I'm not going to think about things in this old, outdated, negative way. I'm moving forward in this way, right? Like that's kind of us overcoming that Two of Swords and Seven of Cups energy. And we do that by continuing to take action, and by, honoring that there are multiple ways that we can perceive the world and perceive our reality. And just to tie it all together, our consciousness is really based on our attention, and that we always have control over. So thank you so much for listening. I'm going to end the reading right here. If anything resonated, please drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm really excited to build this community. If you listened all the way to this point, comment your favorite insect or bug emoji. I would love to see that. And anything you'd wish to share, I would love to hear from you. I'm just so excited to build this community. Otherwise, I will see you in the next reading. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.